This weekend I'm taking the New York State hunting class, the first hunting class that a lot of 12-year-olds do with their dads in order to be able to go hunting. I've never been hunting. I don't have any immediate plans to. The course is free. There are a lot more courses you can do after this, and maybe if I like this one, I'll do those. Because they honestly sound really fun. There's bow hunter, trapper, waterfowl, crossbow hunting. Like, I would love to learn how to use a crossbow. On the website, it says some of the topics we're going to talk about are firearm and crossbow handling and safety, history of firearms, knowledge of firearms and ammunition, gun handling and storage. Okay, so a lot of gun topics. Marksmanship fundamentals, hunting laws and regulations, that makes sense. Principles of wildlife management and wildlife identification. And outdoor safety, hunter ethics, hunter responsibility towards wildlife, the environment, landowners, and the general public. You have to be 11 years old to take it. Okay, so it's a minimum of 7 hours. You can take it online, but the in-person one is free. And also, what's the point? Like, I don't know anything about hunting. I don't want to take an online class because I don't learn well in online classes. And I just think if you're gonna jump into something, you might as well do it the whole way. Anyways, so today is Tuesday. I have my homework printed out. I'm not even close to done with it, but like they're not hard, they're not long, they're just reading comprehension questions to make sure that you at least looked at the book or whatever that they gave you. You could order a physical one online, but I just have it here on my iPad. You can I download the file from the website, and so I'm just reading it like an ebook, and it's totally fine. It looks like, I mean, obviously I grew up in New York State, so there's like, you know, there's certain, like the state tests look like tax forms, like there's just like a look to everything. I don't know if other states look the same as they do here, but I don't believe that they do. But it looks like a textbook. You can't see it on here, but it just like, the format is so, it's so familiar to me at this point. Like, I feel like I've seen this 100,000 times. So the rest of the week I'll need to work on that and finish it up and bring it with me to the class. So if you're wondering what is in the homework, for example, chapter 1, the first question is, in addition to teaching safety, a primary objective of hunter education programs is to, and then the answer is C, produce knowledgeable, responsible, and involved hunters. And like, it says that basically straight up in the book. Like, all of these are copy paste. There is this one section on the parts of a firearm and a bullet. I actually just learned all of this in a different class, which I will talk about at a different time, but I felt very qualified when I was looking at the bullet diagram. We didn't talk about rifles or shotguns, but I'm here to learn. So basically what it says is that after I go to class, pass the test, I'll receive a Hunter Education Certificate of Qualification, which is required for purchasing a first-time hunting license in New York State. Do I know anyone that goes hunting? Yes, but not like in my immediate family. None of my friends hunt. I live in an area where hunting is pretty popular. Honestly, a lot of the time I'll be home and across the street in the woods, I'll hear people hunting. I'll hear their guns going off because there's a little bit of state land and then a lot more private land after that. So it's not like something I've never heard of people doing, or like I'm not too far from it, but logistically I am, because I don't own a gun and I don't own any gear, and no one I know is going to like invite me hunting. I was gonna say, like, I don't know if I would go, but I would go. I think, like, I mean, I've never been before, so I like to do new things, but maybe I would go and experience it and be like, this is the worst thing ever. But that's kind of why I'm taking the class, in order to kind of get that primer. I'm all for like jumping right in, diving right in, but it's really important to know yourself and know that some things might affect you. And in this case, I definitely have to take that into consideration. Someone decided right now would be a good time to cut wood, I guess. Okay, I have to get ready for work. I'm gonna fill this out later, and I'm gonna see if I can find any information on what to bring with me, where, etc., etc. yeah, very exciting. It is 6:52 in the morning. I honestly feel better than I thought I would. Waking up was pretty rough, but it's pretty nice out. It says the high today is 75, so I don't know if that matters because I don't know if we're gonna be outside, but I imagine we will be for at least part of it because it's like all day. So now I have a 30-minute drive, and when I looked at the registration yesterday, there was only like 17 people in the class out of 40, so that could be fun. You know, we might get a personalized session, I guess. The only thing that I'm worried about is when I was doing the homework or whatever, there was a section about like field dressing, which is when you take the organs out of the animals that you catch basically, and I think I was just like so stunned by the starkness of the instructions. Like I was like, this makes sense, but I was just reading along and wasn't prepared for them to be like, first cut here and then do this. So I don't know about that one. That's like good to know, but I wonder if we'll do that today. I'm not sure. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to position you so you can be in the frame. Are you leaving? He's over it. He was napping for the last like hour. I really only seem to have time to film right after I take a shower. It's been a few days, but I'm ready to talk about it. That sounds like it was really bad. It wasn't. It was good. It was really fun. So a couple things. I think I said that there were 17 people signed up. There were only 11 people in the class, and half the people were boys 11 to 14. Two of them were there with their mom, who I guess had already taken it before. One of them did have a big red, white, blue MAGA bucket hat, so, you know. But we were where we were, and I can't say that that surprised me at all. When I first got there, I kind of thought I was in the wrong place because the game club itself was, you know, I know now, like many, just kind of like off the road in the woods. like the sign was obvious enough, but I think I was the earliest person there. So when I first got there, I thought I was in the wrong place, and I almost left to go look further down the road. Thankfully, I didn't, because it was only about 10 minutes in that people started pulling in, and it was totally fine. Something that I didn't expect was that a lot of different people at the game club taught different parts of the class. The class was from 7:30 to 4 p.m., and that includes the time to do live fire, which I wasn't expecting, and that means that we go back out into the range and shoot. And then it also includes the time it takes to take the test. And you have to wait for everyone to finish the test so that they can verify that you pass and then give you your little license thing. And I've taken classes that are that long before, and the only reason that I think this one took a little longer is because some of the people who were teaching had like a slower, less engaging style. And I'm not even saying that this was necessarily a problem, but I could only imagine how the young boys felt trying to keep their attention, because at some parts I was pretty bored, and I was still having a good time. Like, I wanted to be there, but I found myself having to like take purposeful breaks of like re-engaging my attention, if that makes sense. They gave us a lot of 5-minute breaks where we could just go outside and walk around, and it was fine. But the day still felt pretty long, which means that some of the parts were lagging a little bit. Some of the things that they talked about were firearm safety and technicalities of shotguns and rifles. There's a really big emphasis on ethics and how hunters play into conservation efforts, especially in New York. Oh, I just said firearm mechanics and specifications. That's what I mean. Like, we were talking about gauges and different types of shotguns and all these kinds of things. We did talk about field dressing animals. There was more of a section of outdoor survival and orienteering. It seemed to be kind of like one of the interests of the guys there, so he kind of did a little extra. That and a guy was really into turkey hunting, which I didn't know before, but is a very, like, specific subset of hunting. Like, so if someone says that they're into turkey hunting, like, it's basically a whole other game versus deer hunting or things like that. It was cool because the guy had, like, his little calls, like wooden blocks that they make to imitate turkeys. And the sound kind of grated on me personally, but it did sound, I could understand why that would be a good turkey call, I guess. So yeah, the things I liked about it, I felt like all the topics were relevant, especially as someone who was looking for an introduction to everything. I have my personal environmental angle to things from college and things like that, but I was really interested to see how, at least in the promotion of hunting, this kind of stuff is addressed, like animal ethics, and they were really talking about how detrimental it was that all the habitat was being taken away by development, and saying that if you are someone who wants to hunt, then you should really care about that, because then it takes away your opportunities to hunt. And I thought that was really valid. And clearly these guys have been doing this for like years and years and years. I think they were really excited that there were younger people and, women in the group. So their passion was definitely there. And I think in something like this, it's so easy for it to be so stale and vanilla. You're just kind of doing New York State talking points. And you could do that and effectively give people their hunting licenses, but like, there's no point to that. They really were excited to share their personal anecdotes and tips and things like that. And I know that if I went back there and wanted to go hunting with them or just like take classes with them, whatever, they'd be really excited about it. But I would really like to try out different game clubs and shop around, I guess, for lack of a better term, to see how different places do it. I think I would really like to do the bow hunting class. We'll see about that. It's getting kind of cold, so I'm not sure. We're starting to get into winter, so I don't know how much I want to freeze my fingers off doing that. But who knows? It wouldn't be the first time. Some of the things they gave us were, one, this landowner permission slip. So basically, if you are trying to hunt and you run into private land, you're supposed to bring this to the owner of the land and get them to sign off if they're okay with you hunting. Because, like, if you're hunting something and it crosses over from state land into private land, you're not supposed to shoot it. That can be a bummer, because you just spent all this time tracking down this animal, but that's why wherever you're going, they say to get permission first, which I think is fair. I would not want to look outside my window and see someone, like, gunning down a deer. I say gunning down, like, they're not going to be gunning down, but, like, I wouldn't want to look outside and see suddenly a bloody deer on my lawn and a guy with a gun. Like, it's not a good scenario. Especially since you're probably going early in the morning. So this is what they gave me for passing the test. I have my little license in here. I have my education certificate of qualification, so... Oh my god, dude! I don't know what just happened. Are you okay? My cat just walked through the cord of my microphone. Stop! Here he is. You want attention? I'll hang out with you in like 2 minutes. You want to go back on the thing? Alright. Anyways. So, now I can go to my town hall or whatever and purchase a license if I want to go hunting. I don't know how much they are. For some reason, I think they're like $100, but I really could be off. And you have to rebuy one every year. Buddy, you gotta go. I promise I'll hang out with him after this. So every year you have to repurchase a license to hunt, and then you get your tags, which is your kind of allotment of what you're allowed to take out of the woods or wherever you go. But you don't ever have to get this again. So that's cool. Like I said, we didn't do live fire. So what that means is they took us out to the ranges out back and we shot a shotgun. I'm trying to remember what kind it was. I think it was a break action. Like, you know, you put the, it's like this, it breaks. You put the bullet in, you snap it back up. And then we shot at clay pigeons, which none of us hit, obviously. I actually was in the shooting group with one other guy who I think was my age, and then all the little kids. So it was very interesting to talk to them and hear about their experiences with firearms, because they're like, oh, they're telling me that their uncle has this and this and this, and there was a couple things where I was like, that's unnecessary. But even in New York, people find a way. Anyways, so we shot shotguns. All of us missed the clay pigeons. No big deal. Then we went back to the rifle range and we shot paper targets. I think we did 25 yards, but we did have a bench to lean on, which is like, is kind of like, it's not cheating, but basically it was at about, like mid, right above my waist probably. And so you're able to lean on it and stabilize yourself to get a shot, which like in real life, if you're standing, it's a lot harder, just to free aim in that way with nothing to support you and keep your arms steady. But then like if you're out in the woods, you could, theoretically lean against a tree if you want to be in that position for like 2 hours or whatever. So I was able to, I like adjusted my position quite a few times. Like at first I did it standing up and then I leaned and everything. And something I thought was really fun was we found our dominant eye. So if you've never done this before, that's how you do it. So you make a triangle with your pointer finger and your thumb, and you hold it out so that something kind of far away is right in the middle of it. So like, I don't know, it's hard to see. So just like hold this so that, for example, that, right? So that it looks like this. So there's an object in the middle that you can see clearly. And then you're gonna close one eye, and then you're gonna switch the other eye. And whatever's right in the center of your fingers, when you go to your dominant eye, should move out of the way. So it shouldn't be in the center anymore. And so what that tells you is that when you are aiming, that is going to be the eye that's anchoring you to accurately see what you're shooting at. So for me, it's my right eye. I am right-handed, but that doesn't necessarily go together. And so when I was aiming, I'm probably going to shoot like this. And this is different from when I was doing the concealed carry and they told us to aim with both eyes open, because in the scenario that you're having to use your gun in an emergency, you don't want to be having to close your eyes and aim. So in this case, you have time and you have, you're not in immediate danger. So you can adjust and use one eye to make sure that you're lined up correctly. But yeah, so we shot a 22 at 20 or 25 yards. This is mine. I'm going to take a thumbnail. Okay, great. These bullets are so small from that distance that I couldn't tell if I was hitting the target. So you just kind of go and you find out after. I think this one is my freestanding shot. And then the rest of them are when I was more stabilized and leaning on the bench. He said that women usually shoot better than men, so if you're a woman and you want to go shoot, don't be intimidated, because odds are you know just as much as they do if you're in a class like this. Like, everyone's a beginner, It's definitely something I would like to do again. This was a bolt action rifle, so this was like, I feel like it's so classic in movies and stuff when someone has like a little handle on their gun, they go and they like put one in and they go like it's very dramatic, but it was cool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously it's very interesting for me to go into these spaces that are very white, very male, very conservative for the most part, and watch these people unknowingly make concessions to the ideology that they probably have. I could be wrong. For all I know, these are the most progressive people on the planet, right? But the odds that they're veterans and white people in rural upstate New York puts that pretty low. So I don't know what impression I make when I come. Unfortunately, they do probably think that I am a Republican. I say unfortunately, but I don't know, this is something that's complicated. I don't know that I want to stand out in these things because I'm not trying to make a statement necessarily when I'm participating. I'm really just there to see what's going on. And even with me and one other girl in the class who was with her boyfriend, I'm assuming, you could see that when they were talking about hunting, they were adjusting their words to include and women. Like they would say, oh, like when you go out with your brother or whatever, and you know, and you guys and girls, you know, there was always a hesitation because I think even that level of diversity was something that they're not used to. And so I'm not there to be an activist. I'm there to see this in its natural state. And you know, at times it's not my favorite thing, but it is how it is. It's how it would be if I wasn't there. And I think it makes sense why more queer people or more women do not want to go into spaces like this, because these people are not being sensitive to the realities that other people live in, and they're not being forced to because these people aren't showing up to participate in their class. So even though I am so far from being an expert in handling a firearm or hunting or anything like this, I feel really a lot more comfortable in my ability to think things through and keep other people safe in the event that it comes up. I'm afraid to use that term sometimes because I don't want to like get into this mindset of playing vigilante, right? Like I'm not like, oh, I'm out here keeping everyone safe. But I think what I'm trying to emphasize is that safety and preparedness and being able to handle emergency situations is a skill that you can practice. You know, in these cases, I have practiced a little bit more using a firearm and being out in the woods. Do I want a lot more practice to actually be effective? Yes. But you have to start somewhere, you know? So overall, I had a good time. I learned a lot. I want to take another part at least. I'll probably take bow hunting. I don't know if it's going to be soon because of the weather, but one day I will be reporting back with another one of these, I'm sure. What's your experience hunting? Have you ever been hunting? Do you hate it? Do you know nothing about it like I did? Do you want to take the class? Will you take the class now? If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will see you next time, hopefully.